you get out of prison, and then you start getting involved in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
And Kurupt was the first artist that you started working with?
Kurupt, I was messing with in 1990.
Yeah, so that was the first artist?
First artist, Kurupt was the
Okay.
first artist.
Was he affiliated with Death Row yet or no?
No, it wasn't no Death Row.
Okay.
It probably would never even been a Death Row if I'd have been home.
Okay.
Fact.
So Kurupt is originally from Philly, right?
Right.
So, but he moves out, and
Moves out.
he's in the 60s. He was living in the 60s
Mm-hmm.
area. And you had never managed artists or done anything music-wise until then.
Right.
So how did it start off with you managing Kurupt?
Lamont Broomfield had Kurupt signed. And me and Lamont Broomfield grew up. It was me, Lamont Broomfield, and Battle Cat. We was like best friends.
Battle Cat, the producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all went from like 59, and I think Battle Cat didn't go to 59, I think Battle Cat, we met at Horse Man. So Battle Cat, me, Lamont Broomfield, and Battle Cat was like partners. And then Battle Cat was always on the drums in the school, and I'd come pick him up in school. We go walk to nutrition and all that, just to like the 3 years we was there. So I went to jail, came out, went to another town, to the soda, and got a bag. Lamont come with this kid. Oh, and Tone Tobin was his garage. So they ended up making music, and Tone like, man, come over here, we got this artist we need your help with. And I come over there, it's Kurupt. And they make a Kurupt rap, like, they point at anything, he rapping, he spitting it immediately, which was amazing. I'm like, then he in there recording. It was my first time ever even seeing somebody record and make music, was at Broomfield. So I think, it was a Tone Tobin. So maybe 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month later, I'm still in the streets. The little homies is coming, they want to go get down, and I'm helping them out, and I see Kurupt in the car. And I'm like, what you doing in here? Ain't you the rapper? And he like, yeah. And I'm like, man, get out the car.
You pulled him out the car.
Yeah, I'm like, you got a whole nother purpose. Like, and I know he Lamont Broomfield rapper. And I'm like, you don't need to go with the homies. And I'm like, I pulled him out the car, and I tell him, man, get on back around into the garage where you supposed to be at. And then the little homies took off on their little thing, I guess. And I seen Kurupt maybe 2 weeks later, and I'm telling Lamont, I'm like, man, you better get your boy. Your boy, he going down the wrong road. He like, nah, man, I'm cool, big homie, I didn't go. And I'm like, all right, well, if you doing this. So we just was vibing in the studio. Then we get to do the paperwork. I started Delicious Entertainment. That was the name of the group back then, my company. I had already just signed a deal for a male and female exotic dance company. And it was under Delicious Entertainment. My wife wouldn't get the paperwork. So then we was doing the music part. And unfortunately, I was gone.
Did you ever see the Kurupt interview that I did?
No.
Let me play it for you. I asked Kurupt, I don't know if you remember when Kendrick had that King of New York line?
When he said he did Kurupt's line.
He did Kurupt's line.
Yeah.
No one had actually put those pieces together, though.
That it was Kurupt.
Yeah,
I did.
Because Talib Kweli mentioned it to me, so I brought it up to Kurupt. So when I interviewed Talib Kweli, this was I'm looking up right now, it was August of 2013, and this got 500,000 views on YouTube. Mm. He said that Kendrick was quoting you in the in his verse, in the control verse.
It's my killer. Sleeper cell.
You called yourself the King of New York in a previous song, and when he said it, a lot of people didn't realize it.
King of New York. What is the King of New York? What did Kurupt mean?
You tell me.
By King of New York.
What was the whole verse?
Incredible.
Hold on, maybe I could look it up.
You want mine or Kendrick's?
Your verse.
I'm important like the Pope. I'm the King of New York. I'm live from South Central. I'm a Muslim on pork. That means I'm the fucking worst. And that's all it meant. I'm the fucking worst. I'm important like the Pope. I'm important, nigga. I'm the king of New York. His name was Frank White. You notice how since somebody from the West Coast will say they're the king of fucking New York, they automatically assume we're disrespecting New York.
Right.
I'm sick of that shit. We don't have a problem with you, New York. Stop it, my nigga. King of New York is a fucking movie. It's a fucking movie. Biggie called himself Frank fucking White. Who is Frank White?
Christopher Walken.
Wrong. He's the fucking king of New York. It's a fucking movie, man.
Yeah.
We don't want your city, your country, your town. We know what we from Los Angeles, we from Compton, nigga Watts, Inglewood, nigga, we are the West Coast. Why the fuck would we want to be where you at, nigga? We don't like your fucking streets. We like ours, cuz. Ours. We don't have a problem with you guys, my nigga. We don't have a problem with y'all, cuz. Sorry about that. I had to get that up.
Of course. The greatest ending ever. You've never seen that?
No, I never seen it.
Okay. You know Kurupt very well.
Yeah.
How? What's your reaction to that?
He told it right. He was talking about a movie. Like our movies influenced them, their movies influenced me. I just quoted, before he even said it, I just quoted King of New York.
Yeah.
When Lawrence Fishburne had them two
the,
tools.
the guns, yeah.
Oh, shit. We was all the king of New York. But it was out of respect. And it wasn't even about New York. It was really about that movie. Like, it was really about Frank White.
Yeah.
When we called ourselves the king of New York. And then, see, to us, king of New York don't mean king of New York. It mean the king of the NY, because to us, it's young neighborhoods.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why you see a lot of dudes from neighborhood wear the NY hat. It don't mean New York at all. If you see that Yankee hat in LA, it means neighborhood.
Okay. So you start working with Kurupt, and then Death Row starts to form,
Right.
and the Dog Pound and everything else like that. How did you kind of maneuver Kurupt into that whole situation?
Well, I didn't. I didn't maneuver him into it because it was kind of like he got into it, and then all the homies was mad. So I was in. I just got found guilty. I was in the reception center, and my wife came to see me, and she was like, "Kurupt wants you to call because the homies is mad at him about the being on death row." And I'm like, well, shit, of course you know I can't call. So I went from, I was transitioning, and then when you get to the pen, you got to go through the not using the phone, get one phone call a month, so all that. And then just probably like a year or so, I'm looking at him on death row, and then the homies is mad about him saying gangster, and then Broomfield and them is mad, and so it was just a lot of, anger amongst the homies. And then Kurupt is like, well, my big brother's Big U. And I'm like, well, stall the kid out. And it kind of went from there. But I always say Kurupt is the hardest dude from the hood because he branded the hood when he wasn't even with the hood. And that was hard. And he traveled the country and took it where nobody else had ever took it. And he did it by himself a lot of time.
Oh, he was the only one that was talking
Yeah,
about.
he was kind of like he was by himself. He was with a bunch of Long Beach dudes,
right,
representing, his city. And he came back to do a solo project. He did it right on Crenshaw and Slauson. And because I related to that because I never lived in the '60s. I always lived everywhere else. My mother I lived in the Hoovers. I lived in different lanes. I lived in different hoods. So I understood how it felt not to be on the block all the time. I had to catch the bus to the hood to be from the hood. I knew what it felt like to walk to the liquor store in somebody else's neighborhood and dudes know who you are and know where you from, and you got to answer these questions every single day. I know what that
Oh,
feels
so
like.
you were getting asked where you're from.
Man,
every day.
I lived in the Hoovers, then I lived in Dimmer Lanes. I lived all in places. I went to different schools. It wasn't easy being me.
Yeah.
Man, I'm catching the bus to the hood all the time.
So, were you out when Death Row started to build up and Kurupt started?
Not at all.
You were in jail the whole
Wouldn't
time.
have never happened when I had no death row.
What do you mean?
I love Suge to death, but he definitely wouldn't have been moving around L.A. like that. Because in L.A. at the time, you wasn't saying blood. You wasn't wearing no red at that time. That wasn't happening, and you definitely weren't moving like that without major situations. You know what I mean? And I think what was able to give rise to Suge to the growth and Suge to move like he was the riots. The unity from the riots and dudes not tripping and wanting to gang bang on each other, that's really what gave rise to Death Row. Because when that happened, more people started moving in like they was moving. But nah,